I've worked as a security guard most of my life. It's not glamorous, but it's steady. Gas stations, convenience stores, small retail spots, quiet places where the job's more about staying awake than staying alert. So when I saw a listing for a night shift at the local mall, I figured I'd finally found something better. The pay was solid, better than anything I'd seen in years, and the hours weren't bad either. 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., one building, no weather to deal with, and probably nothing more than a few late-night wanderers to worry about. Sounded easy. I pictured myself parked in front of the security monitors, sipping coffee in a warm office while the rest of the world slept. I applied immediately. The next day I got a call. It was the mall manager, Mr. Hensley, asking if I could swing by that afternoon for an interview. The quick turnaround caught me off guard. Were they really that desperate? Still, I didn't question it. I needed the work, and the mall was just a short drive from my apartment. When I got there, the interview felt strange, rushed. Hensley asked a few surface-level questions about my experience, but it didn't seem like he was really listening. He just nodded along, like he already knew he'd hire me. He went over the basics, camera checks every 15 to 30 minutes, hourly patrols, nothing unusual. But as I stood to leave, he looked at me and asked, "Can you start tonight?" I hesitated. "Tonight?" He nodded, rubbing his temples. "We're short-staffed. Last few guys didn't last long. I'm hoping you'll be different." His words stuck with me. I almost asked him to explain, but he was already pulling out a key to the security office. "Be here by 11, he said. "Straightforward job if you do things right." I left with a weird feeling in my gut. The way he said didn't last felt off. Still, I chalked it up to stress. Maybe he just had a string of lazy guards. I went home, grabbed a few hours of sleep, and got ready for my first shift. That night, the mall looked completely different. The parking lot, packed during the day, was a dark ocean of empty spaces under flickering lights. A few scattered cars sat beneath the lamps, their shadows stretching long across the asphalt. The entire place felt abandoned, like a skeleton of what it was during daylight. For a second, I sat in my car staring at the entrance, wondering if I'd made a mistake, but I pushed the thought away. First nights always feel strange. I grabbed my bag and headed to the employee entrance. Mr. Hensley was waiting just inside. He didn't say much, just led me through a maze of silent corridors toward the security office, going over the protocols again along the way. "Check the monitors every 15 to 30 minutes, he reminded me. "Do your rounds once an hour. Keep an eye on the escalators and the children's play area. Things happen there sometimes." That last part made me slow down. "Things happen?" He gave a vague shrug. "Mostly kids breaking in, trying to mess around after hours. You'll see." His voice was casual, but something about it didn't sit right, like he was leaving something out. Still, I just nodded. He handed me a laminated instruction sheet, gave me a stiff handshake, and said, "Good luck, I'll see you in the morning." Then he was gone. I stood there in the small, dimly lit office, surrounded by glowing monitors showing flickering black and white feeds of the empty mall. The silence pressed in, heavy and absolute. I took a seat in front of the screens and started cycling through the camera feeds. The escalators were still, store lights dark, mannequins frozen mid-pose behind display windows. After a few minutes, I began to relax. It was just a big empty building, nothing spooky about it, just silence and shadows. Then I felt it, a presence behind me. I jumped, nearly knocking over my chair. There stood a janitor I hadn't seen before, leaning just inside the doorway with a mop in hand and a grin on his face. "Didn't mean to scare you, buddy," he said, clearly amused. "You must be the new guy." I laughed nervously, brushing the adrenaline off. "Yeah, I didn't know anyone else was here at night." He stepped into the room. "They keep one of us around to tidy up, make sure everything's ready for the morning rush." He paused, his smile fading into something more serious. "Just make sure you follow the rules." I blinked. "You mean the mall rules?" I held up the laminated sheet Hensley gave me. He shook his head and pulled a folded, crumpled piece of paper from his back pocket. "No, I mean these rules." I hesitated, then took the paper from his hand. His expression had changed, no longer friendly or teasing, but flat, cold, like he'd seen something I hadn't. "These aren't from management," he said quietly. "These are the rules you need if you want to make it through the night." I unfolded the paper slowly, expecting a prank, but what I read made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Rules to keep you safe at night. Rule 1. Check the security cameras every 15 to 30 minutes, but never stare at the footage for too long. Rule 2. Do not look directly at the mannequins after midnight. If you notice any of them have changed position, leave the area immediately. I stared at the paper. a chill creeping up my spine. "You're serious?" The janitor's grin had vanished. His face was pale now, his voice low. "I'm warning you, follow the rules, or you'll end up like the last guy." I let out a nervous laugh. "You mean the last guard?" He nodded slowly, his eyes cold and hollow. "He quit after one night, wouldn't talk about what happened, just walked out and never came back." I gave an uneasy chuckle and shoved the list into my pocket without reading further. "Right, well, I'm gonna go do my first round." The janitor stepped aside, giving me a look that lingered just a little too long. "Take care." Something in his tone made me pause. It wasn't sarcasm, it wasn't small talk, it was a warning, and it felt real. Still, I told myself he was just trying to freak me out, some weird mole initiation thing. I wasn't about to let a crumpled sheet of paper and an old man's stare mess with my head. The clock had just passed midnight when I began my patrol. The mole was far creepier than I expected at night. The soft emergency lights barely pushed back the darkness, and the long corridors stretched out like tunnels, each corner hiding 1,000 possible shapes. Shadows slithered along the walls as my flashlight moved, turning normal store signs into something twisted and unfamiliar. Every sound felt like a scream. My own footsteps echoed off the tile. The buzz of the fluorescent lights overhead was relentless, and the distant creaks from settling walls made it feel like something was always shifting just out of sight. I walked past shuttered stores with mannequins standing behind glass like frozen ghosts, their blank expressions catching my beam and flashing back pale reflections. The children's play area near the food court was the worst. Under the flickering lights, the colorful plastic animals looked wrong, distorted, grim, like toys left behind in some forgotten apocalypse. Up ahead, I spotted the escalators, silent, unmoving, and eerily still, like monuments to a busier, brighter world. Then I saw it. One of the clothing store doors was wide open. I stopped, flashlight raised. The interior was dark, the mannequins inside barely visible in the shadows. I stepped closer, sweeping the beam slowly across the room. At first, everything seemed normal, but then in the corner of my eye, I caught a slight movement, so subtle it could have been my imagination. I turned quickly. Nothing, just a cluster of mannequins near the back, posed like they always were. I exhaled hard and shook my head. Just my nerves. I wasn't gonna let some dumb list get to me. Then I heard it, a soft rustling, fabric brushing against fabric. I swung my flashlight back. One of the mannequins had moved. It was closer now, just a step or two, out of line with the others. My pulse kicked up. "Hey, janitor guy," I called out, my voice shaky but loud. I wanted him to hear me, to come out and say this was just a joke. Nothing, only silence. Then I heard it again, right behind me this time, a low dragging sound, like stiff cloth shifting. I turned slowly, scanning the mannequins, and that's when I saw it. The same mannequin had shifted again, its head now turned toward the store's exit, facing me. My breath caught in my throat. There was no way. I was alone, completely alone. I backed out fast, never turning my back on it. I couldn't explain it, but I knew on some instinctual, primal level that something was wrong. As I walked quickly down the corridor, I kept looking back. That's when I heard it. Footsteps, but not human ones. Heavy, hollow, dragging, like thick plastic scraping over the floor. I turned around, and there it was, the mannequin, standing in the middle of the hallway, far from the store. No one could have moved it that fast. It was just standing there, its face blank, hands frozen mid-motion.